I started on Plexus in January of 2014. Uh, my sister introduced it to me after she had just got started. Um, I did it for not just my health, but I did it for. I mean, I know I needed better health, but I did it for weight loss. And after I started taking it, the trial size, I was already feeling so much better, and the things that it was doing for me, I decided to stay on it. I ordered more, and the more I took it, the better I felt. The weight loss was coming. Everything about it, the sleep at night, the monthly periods, everything about it was working in my favor, and I just loved it. I loved the taste. I loved taking it, so I continued. And then, at the end of June of 2014, I started having swelling in my leg, and I was still working. I had never had this happen before, so I just thought it was something. Maybe I propped my leg up, it would go away, but it didn't. And we had already had reservations for our family vacation in Florida, and I wasn't about to miss. And most of you also know me know that I'm stubborn, and I wasn't about to go to a doctor if I didn't have to. So we went on our vacation. I got around fine. Continued back to work. Was getting around fine. But my leg, the swelling got worse, that it was rubbing against my pants legs. So I finally called the doctor. She had me come in that day. She told me when I left there, because it was the lateness of the hour, to go straight to the emergency room. She wanted it checked. And she thought it was a blood clot. Well, I'd never had a blood clot before, and like I said, you know me, I started going home. But I didn't. Something told me to go, and I did. Well, they ran a test, and after that test showed the blood clot, they wanted to run more tests, because not only did it show a blood clot, they caught sight of something else. So I did the testing, and Jeff had just gotten off work when he found out where I was at, and he came and waited with me. After we got the test results back, the doctor had spoken with him first instead of me. And that was when we found out that it wasn't just a blood clot. I had a huge mass in my stomach. They hooked me up right away to all these machines, and didn't know why. People were coming, my family, my church family. And they didn't know why, because all my readings were doing well. So they checked and they took me off because of what they found. They just knew what shape I should be in, so they were just being prepared. They told me that they were going to send me to the next hospital that had an available bed. So while he was calling all the hospitals, Charlotte had the first available bed. So I was taken by ambulance to Charlotte that night. Upon arriving, they hooked me up again to all these machines, because they said in the condition I was in, I needed to be prepared and ready for whatever may happen. I said, I don't know what's going on. I just got off work today. I didn't get it. But that's the shape they thought I was in. And so I was hooked up and stayed. I met a team of doctors. Don't remember them all because of the shock I was already in. But I met them all, and they proceeded to tell me what I was going to go through in the next few days. I went through test after test, and my husband was right there the whole time. The test went, one each day. The big test where I finally got sick was the one they had to go in and put a filter to block my heart in case the blood clot decided to move. They didn't want my heart to rupture. So I went through everything, and come the day of the surgery, they said it would be 4 to 6 hour surgery, and that they would keep my family updated by the monitor, and that if anything was to happen, they would come out, or every hour and a half, so they would stop and have someone come and keep them updated. After an hour and a half, they came out and called my husband to the back. Well, of course, my mom went with them, but they told him that the surgery was over and that everything went well, that it was nothing like they expected it to happen. that when they had a team of doctors one to monitor me, one to help untangle the mass from my organs, and the others to catch the tumor. But when they cut me open, that wasn't the case. The tumor came right out. It was like it was sitting right there waiting on them to take it out. And they were through. They stitched me up. Of course, I did have to have a hysterectomy. But all in all, God was there. He was there in that room. He was there the whole time I was in the hospital. And He took care of me the whole time that I was there, and my family. And the thing about it is, after I got back into the room the next morning when I was fully awake, the doctor looked at me and said, "I don't understand what's going on. I don't know how you are not so sick. I cannot tell you why the outcome was the way it was." And I said, "But I can tell you." But he said that, "Miss Smith, I didn't tell you any of this before surgery because we would never do that." He said, "However, not only should you have been so sick you could hardly stand yourself," he said, "you shouldn't have been able to walk erect, let alone work." He said, "But by now, because of what you had on your inside, you should have already had a massive heart attack." He said, "I'm looking at a miracle." He said, "You shouldn't even be here today." And I said, "But I know why. Because I serve the great physician. And I know who had His hands on me. And I'm still here today for the same reason." But you see, not only did I go through that, and it was a lot to take in, but I was surprised I wasn't more scared than I was. But just something told me there wasn't nothing going to happen. And I know that had to be the Spirit. Let me know there was nothing going to happen. But I did everything they asked. He asked me, he said, "Your gut health was terrible." He said, "Because of my gut health." And you don't think about that kind of stuff. You just think, I'm overweight or I'm unhealthy. But my gut health was so bad that the bad bacteria was feeding off of the junk that had filled up on my inside. They were feeding off of it. And a woman's body knows how to react to that. And because they were feeding off of it, it caused me to look like I was pregnant. But he also said, after they took it out, he could tell a change in the things that were going on. The reason I had a blood clot is because the tumor had grown into such a mass and took such a shape that it pressed my artery up against the side of my body, and it caused the blood clot. They put me on medicine, to which I only had to take for a short time because he said I was doing so well I didn't have to take it anymore. I went back for my follow-up. He said he just couldn't get over it, that I was okay, but he wanted me to stay out a little bit longer. But I said I got permission to go back as long as I took it easy. And he said that, "I don't know this stuff that you take." And I told him it was Plexus. And I had told him all about how I'd been introduced to it and what it was doing for my body. He said, "You stay on it. You stay on it. If it can do this for you, then you need to stay on it." And I have. But after all that, and he told me that I was looking at being able to, if I continued, I could go home soon. I was up the next day. I didn't have to take things for pain. The whole time I was in the hospital, they unhooked everything because I didn't need it. But I got up that night with the help of my husband and my IV. We walked those halls, and he would check on me, and all the nurses checked. They just couldn't get over it until I got to go home. And I couldn't drive for a little while. They told me not to drive. It was the best thing. And it was the best thing because my husband was lost. He only went to church during holidays. But he knew that I was going to be in church. And I couldn't wait for my first Sunday back. And so the people at my church, who I love dearly, were waiting for me to get back because they said they couldn't wait for the testimony that I had to give because I was and am a walking miracle. And my husband had drove me to church. He didn't have to because I have family living across the street that could take me. But you know, he took me. And even when I could drive, he still took me. And he kept going, and he kept going. And the next thing I know, I looked at him. I testified one night again, and I looked and he was crying. And I thought he was going to about knock me down to get to the altar. So, you know, all those prayers, all these years, I know I went through a lot with this surgery and the tumor. But you know, like I said, for going through a lot, the Lord knows what he's doing. I didn't suffer. I didn't suffer through the tumor. I didn't know I had one. I didn't suffer through the procedures. And I did well through it. And I'm still doing well now. But you know, my husband came to know the Lord through all this. So if you don't think it's worth it, you better think again, because I'd go through it again tomorrow if I knew what it would do for someone else. And so I am a walking miracle. Now, and I still believe in God, and I know he's still my great physician. And I still take my Plexus because I don't know what I would do without it now because of what it's done to my insides. Now, when I go, you know, heart disease runs on both sides of my family. Diabetes runs on both sides of my family. But I have neither. Every time I go, all my readings are good. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us do. I don't know what may take me out of this world. I know I won't go until it's God's timing. But the thing about it is, I'll never forget what he's already done for me and that I've made it this far. I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget how I brought my husband to an altar and how he accepted Christ in his life. I'll never, ever, ever forget what God's done for my family. And I'll never forget that. So I'm going to continue to do what I need to do because I know that by allowing me to still be here, that God has a plan and a purpose, not just for me, but for my husband. And if it takes sharing Plexus for the rest of my life, I'm going to do whatever the calling may be. And I'm going to share Jesus and let my light shine because, like I said, I am a walking miracle today. Am I invincible now, bulletproof? No. But the only time I'm going out is when God calls me home. So thank you for watching. Love you. Good night.